Well, are you ready for an adventure? Even if you're not ready, you're coming along on an adventure with me. We are driving along the Owyhee River, which is south of Ontario, Oregon. And I bet you have never seen country like this in Oregon. And if you have, it's probably because you travel around a bit. But yeah, I love it here. My husband loves it here. It is a beautiful country. My husband loves to fly fish, and you know, I like to plein air paint, so it's perfect. He goes out and fishes, and I go and paint, and this is what I am doing this morning. And I am bringing you along on this little adventure. Here we come up on the tunnel. You have to be careful because it's one lane. But on the other side, you can see there's some beautiful red rocks along the Owyhee River. And it is so beautiful there. So come along with me on this little adventure. So I picked a spot along the Owyhee River. And as always, I got out my pencil so that I could sketch everything first. With watercolors, you work light to dark, and sometimes it's kind of hard to rework something once you put some color down. So I use my pencil to draw out some landmarks. In this instance, it's a lot of rocks and landslides and a little bit of the sky. So getting in all those proper details so that I can come back in with my limited palette of 6 watercolor paints. And so just playing around with that. And I hope you enjoy seeing the process of me painting along the Owyhee River. Okay, so we've got some greens, a lot of browns. Let's use yellow ochre. And then the burnt sienna. And then some of my red here. A lot of red rock landscape here. Let's clean this out. Maybe dark color here. Let's make it dark. And then these greens. We'll do like a brighter green and a more dull green. All right, I think we are ready to start on the paper. Use of the sky first. A little bit of this blue. Ugh. More blue. There we go. My goodness, it is bright out. Okay, start over here. Some of these lighter washes. Let's see. So a little story time, I'll tell you guys. So I'm over at the Owyhee River, and when my husband and I were first married, we would come out here when we could. I mean, it's a good full day drive from home, but it's one of my husband's favorite places to fish. He likes to fly fish, and I would never really. I fly fished a little bit, but not a lot. I'm like, I'd rather paint. So he would fly fish, and I would paint. So we were over on this side of the state, so here we are. He went fishing last night and this morning. So now he is playing with our daughter, and I get to come out and paint. No idea where that dark just came from. There we go. So I drove up and down the little river to scout out a place that I wanted to sit and paint at. So I found this place here, parked next to a guy that's fly fishing, just chatted with him. So it's fun to talk to other people. Let's see, to not get lost in this jumbled rock landscape. Some rocks are way more red than the others too, and I want to be sure to illustrate that. So I got my burnt sienna and my quinacridone rose, which is my red. So the palette I'm using is my very limited palette. I only have 6 colors in it. I got my Lunar Black, which is by Daniel Smith. The rest are all by M. Graham. We got burnt sienna, yellow ochre, quinacridone rose, cerulean blue, and turquoise. So right now I'm just using my burnt sienna with some of my quinacridone rose for this brown, reddish brown color. And the brush I'm using is a size 10 travel round brush, and I'm really liking it. This is my second time doing plein air with it, and I'm liking it so far. It's a nice all-around brush. It comes with a very nice fine point at the tip, and I can get a lot done with it. And the sketchbook I'm using is by Etcher. This is my little plein air, dedicated to plein air sketchbook with this limited palette. So once I'm done with this sketchbook, all the paintings will just be done with 6 colors. It's kind of a fun little experiment to do. See how much variety can I get with just 6 colors. I got the primary colors, blue, yellow, and red. I got brown and black to kind of tint them and change things around. So driving around this morning, like last night, the lighting was this chef's kiss. It was a beautiful, amazing, a lot of shadows, and this morning it's kind of, I would say, flat. So driving around, I had to find like the right landscape to really lend to the lighting in order to get the most out of the view. So it's kind of like, okay, find the right lighting, because kind of like with photography, you gotta have inspiring lighting to have cool photos. Same thing with plein air painting. It's kind of like when you go to like the coast, you have to be aware of the tide tables, like low tide and high tide and all that. It's kind of like with plein air painting, you have to be aware of the light. And plein air painting as well, you have to be aware of how the sun's going to move and change the shadows over your duration of sitting outside and painting. Okay, I'm going to get to a rock that's like really red. I was telling my husband we were driving through yesterday, you know, this would be the place to come if you were making your own paints and you needed like a good red, like an earthy red. Back in the day, you know, when people would have to make their own paint from stuff they ground up, they find outside in nature. So instead of going down to Utah, you could just, you could just come here and get red rock colors. Okay, time to make a more brown color. I'm going to add some of my lunar black, tone it down a bit. In watercolor, I'd like to add different amounts of water, different areas, because watercolor is really about the ratio of water to the paint. That gives it the beautiful watercolor effects. And it's quite warm today. I think it's already around 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So with the sun beating straight down on my paints and my sketchbook, everything's going to dry out a lot faster than normal at home. Some red in here. Get these rocks. I'm really working on the dramatic little rock slides along here. The guy I was talking to that fishes here often, it's like, yeah, just they got a lot of rain and little rock slides happening everywhere, pretty much. A lot more than usual, at least. So I really want to illustrate that as much as possible. I like the angle of it too. It's a really big rock slide here. And then these rocks over here are more gray color, so let's get some brown in here with some nice cerulean blue, lunar black. I like the lunar black because it granulates and it looks like really pretty. Okay. A little too black, so I'm going to add water to it. And now I'm going to add water directly to the paper. Because with watercolors, in order to get a lighter color, you water it down. Add some more brown to that. It's a little too monotone. Gosh, I should have brought my hat. It is sunny. It's fun to hear all the birds chirping and talking to each other. This is such cool rock. It reminds me of like a little bit of basalt by the way it breaks up into like pillars and columns. Let's see, we got some more kind of grayish color slides. You can really see all the colors of the different rocks. I still remember how excited my geology teacher was about rocks. He would say, like, on road trips even, he's like, honey, we gotta stop and take pictures of these rocks. He told us, like, yeah, it was funny. So I'm like, it's kind of cool. Geology in general. Okay, time to get some of this dead grass in here. Get this yellow ochre. I think a lot of water. Let's clean my brush. I have 2 little cups of water. One's for mostly clean water, and one's for dirty brushes. So some clean water, a little bit of my yellow ochre. Get nice and light in color. Come up to the edges. Kind of want to have some like blooms and stuff, so where watercolor just washes around and does its thing. I like it when watercolor does its thing. If I wanted flat colors, I'd use something else to paint with, but I like the difference watercolor really does with water and everything. All the things. So I have a tree here because it's over there, but I think I'm just not going to include it. I want to just keep painting the dried up grass. Just paint over that. That's the cool thing about watercolor painting, and painting in general, honestly, is that you can do whatever you want. So I cannot see the river from my vantage point, but I think I'll just paint it anyways. Because you can use your artistic license and change things up. Because if you wanted a photo, it would be exactly like what you see. But if painting, you can totally make it your own. Other reason why painting can be so cool. When we were driving around looking for a spot to camp the trailer, we were like driving, and I saw a husband fishing and his wife just with her feet in the water. I'm like, oh, honey, that's like us, except I was painting when you were fishing, and she needs to maybe pick up a hobby, because painting the places where you go is really cool. At least I think it's really cool. Then you have like this little memory of not just being there, but experiencing the location in a different way than other people might experience it. Like, I can remember things better when I write things down or even paint them. Like, sometimes when I'm listening to music, I can remember what music was playing. Or like when I've knit a sweater, I can remember like what show I was watching. Okay, this is a lot of yellows and reds. See, along the river here, it's a lot of green. So I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to work up here some more. I'm going to go work on this a little bit. There's a lot of little exposed rocks up here. They're pretty gray in color. I want to do a little darker over here to really show the outline of this hillside. For sienna, some more lunar black. So I'm going to work on all these details, and I might be kind of quiet, so I'm just going to let you enjoy the sounds of sitting along the river as I paint. And if you are enjoying this video, I'd love for you to give it a little thumbs up. It tells YouTube that, tell more people about this video. They might like it. So I'd appreciate that. I don't know how long my camera's been off. I just got in the zone of painting and I didn't double check that it's still recording. Fortunately, my camera is set to maximum of like 30 minutes, so we're gonna find out how much you missed. But just in case you missed it, I did a splatter technique to get some of the shrubbery in, and I just went in my brush to do some of the rest. I want to tone this down a little bit, so I'm going to take some of my yellow ochre. I think, yeah, let's do this little bit of lunar black and a lot of water. Tone it down so it like recedes and goes back into the distance a little bit more. Yep, that's what I wanted to do, because it is further away. There we go. I like that more. Let's do that a little bit over here too. And the lunar black and this yellow ochre kind of makes it look more of a greenish tone as well, which works well for this landscape. Almost making like a vignette with this on both sides to bring you in to the painting. A little more definition in here. Maybe not a lot of definition everywhere over here, just little bits here and there. It's funny, I was thinking, well, I really like showing everybody on YouTube all the process from start to finish. It's really hard for me to break it up. But with my camera stopping recording at 30 minutes, one time I forget to check because I'm in the zone, I guess I don't have to pick and choose what you get to see for that part. I apologize, but I'm here not just to record but to paint. And when I get in the zone, I just forget to do some things. Including checking my camera. I forget to do that. It's hard to show this rock slide, at least to me. Let's do there, that. So I cannot see the river, but I can paint it, because painting, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't have to be exactly what you see or don't see, which is awesome. Make it my own. I think I'm about done with this. All right, I need to let this dry. It is plenty sunny, so like these big watery splatter spots are still pretty wet. Never mind, I decided to do a little bit more. Some darker greens. Really ground some of these brushy areas with some little shadows. The sun's coming from this way, kind of. Still not a fan of this, but it might just be me being critical. Break it up a little bit. I think that's a little better. We'll soften some edges here and there. Okay, I think that's better there. The jumble of mess of rocks, but that's what it is. Okay, lights, darks, medium tones, got some definition for river. Here's the Owyhee. I use my 6-color palette, a size 10 round brush, and these little cups of water, my little one-hand setup here, and here it is. Thank you so much for coming along with me today as I worked on this plein air painting along the Owyhee River. It is quite warm. It's probably low 90s right now, but like I mentioned earlier, you know, I don't really mind sitting in the sun working on a painting because it's what I enjoy. So if you enjoyed this, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here and want to see more videos about watercolor painting, I would love for you to subscribe. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope this video has inspired you, and I will see you in the next one. Whoops. Hang on, guys. Here we go. Just letting the truck drive itself. It knows the best path of all these rocks.